What's up, ladies, gents, and countrymen? It's Tuesday. I'm Dominic D'Angelo of Rumor and Innuendo. This is adfreeshows.com. This is also, I'm of SCScoops.com. I'm sorry. I'm just a little flustered because my head coach got fired earlier today from the New York Jets. Hey, but I'm with Robert Karplis, WE Creative _ish, and we're going to talk some 2-hour Raw. Raw, how are you? Robert, how are you, man? Oh, my God.
Here comes the story of the hurricane.
Oh, God. That's
yeah,
right.
we are gearing up down here. I'm happy to be with you. I'm happy to have power and electricity at the moment. Storm is supposed to hit sometime tomorrow, late afternoon, early evening. We will see what's going to happen. Look, I'm hoping that this storm moves further north. It's a non-issue for me. That the worst thing I have to do is schlep in patio furniture and put up hurricane shutters. But it's not what we're here to talk about today, Dom. We've got a ton of comments in the section before we even get to this. EEE says, "Arg, hello, matey."
Ahoy
Don't know
there.
why there's a pirate theme, but there it is. Johnny Disco says, "Hello, R&I. Wow, did 2 hours go by fast? I did see more than usual backstage interview segments from Raw and YouTube with the recaps. If you feel like you're missing out on some of that filler, Wrestling Old Head, echoing that good after morning, R&I. The first 2-hour Raw in like 12 years, and I figured the referees would have advertisements on the black stripes of their shirts. This Raw comment is brought to you by Wendy's. Ironically enough, a friend of mine, friend of the show, Jason Ayers, who is a WWE ref, has officially put on his Instagram that he is a Wendy's Spicy Nugs sponsored athlete. Joseph Wade Walters is here. Good morning, Rumor Heads. And Christopher Zanto. Good morning, R&I family. Alt Jake is here. Good morning, everyone. Happy lowest Dynamite ratings ever day. I'm not going to praise Alt Jake because Alt Jake last night tweeted about how he misses the 3 hours of Raw.
Man, wow. Well, you'll
No.
get that probably with SmackDown, you know. Yeah. What'd you think, Robert? 2 hours? Did this recharge your batteries for Monday nights? Did this kind of get you back in the gear of, hey, I'm looking forward to Raw? Well, I always kind of looked forward to Raw these past several months, but now it's 2 hours and it's a little bit more digestible. But what are your thoughts, Robert? You're a big proponent of this.
So there becomes an essential element to every moment of this show, which I like. When you have 3 hours of TV time, when you have 3 hours of Raw, you have this cushion, but you also have the situation where you need to fill 3 hours of TV. And that is a very white piece of paper that you wind up looking at, and you put in a lot of filler. When you cut it down to 2 hours, you have to fight for every moment of TV time that you get. As a writer, as a member of the creative team, you have to fight for every segment that you are pitching, every backstage interview, every in-ring match, everything. And as a talent, you need to maximize your minutes. So because of that, I felt like Raw was all killer, no filler, maybe with the exception of a 10-woman tag.
Yeah, Robert. So only thing trepidation I kind of have, and this is the comment that who just made that comment about the YouTube segments going on. Either way, Johnny Disco. Thank you, Johnny. But so I don't want them to kind of. I hope that is just something added on. It's a garnish. It's not something that you must tune into. Where we've been accustomed with AEW. Oh, you have to watch this and this and that to know what's going on here. I would want to. I almost want them. I want it to be all killer, no filler when it comes to this 2-hour set Raw. And what I tune into, I don't have to tune into extra stuff to know what's going on later on. Don't think they're going to fall into that pitfall, but I hope they don't make that. Hey, let's get these superstars over on YouTube rather than on USA Network and eventually Netflix here. So
that was always kind of a thing when we had Sunday Night Heat and Velocity. It was, you got to earn your chance to be on Raw and on SmackDown. And when you do get that chance to be on Raw or SmackDown, you don't want to blow it. The difference is that was still the Vince McMahon era. The talent has a little bit more creative freedom. They have a chance to really show what it is that they can do. And what we've seen over the last few weeks and months, when you give some of those talents an opportunity to shine, They absolutely shine.
Mhm.
We've seen what Bronson Reed has done since he's been given an opportunity. This week on Raw, we saw Pete Dunne maximizing his individual minutes to really become something special. And at the same time, some of the folks in the women's division have been less successful and they just got shoehorned into a 10-woman tag.
Right, right. Well, Robert, let's get to what the action that happened on Raw last night. Kicked off. Sexy Red showed up. Robert,
I know how big a Sexy Red fan you are.
huge Sexy Red fan. Curious if that's a tie to the St. Louis Cardinals. I don't know. Either way, she was there, and kind of good to implement the celebrity thing, keep that momentum going with it. Don't know how much it really does to cultivate more of a fan base tuning in, but we did get CM Punk kicking off Raw with a promo and saying that, implying he will be going away for a while. What do you kind of think of that, Robert?
So Sexy Red was there to remind people that she's going to be on NXT tonight, and NXT is going head to head with the Dynamite.
Yes.
So we got a lot of stuff to cover here. So I don't mind that. I guess she's known locally there in St. Louis. It makes sense to highlight her there. Punk's promo was successful in a couple ways. First of all, it was selling the magnitude of a Hell in a Cell match, that these guys came out of this different than they did going in. I'm glad that Punk didn't come out bouncing around fresh as a daisy, like, hey, that's over, let's move on. It was, I left a piece of my soul in that cell. Man, that sucked. He came out looking like Marv from Sin City, and his hey, I'm gonna go home, and Michael McKean at the end of Clue, I'm gonna go home and have sex with my wife. So she'll have to do a lot of the work based on how banged up he was. But the reason why he's doing that, on top of selling the importance of Hell in a Cell, is that dude ain't going to Saudi Arabia.
No, that ain't gonna happen. Well, listen, I guess we'll touch upon this later on, the Saudi Arabia aspect of it all.
You steer the ship, man.
Okay, let's just cover it right now. You know, we got Gunther defeated Sami Zayn in what I thought was a really fun match and really told a great story, especially on Gunther's end of thing, but Sami as well. What'd you think of this closing main event here, Robert?
Oh,
And
you're
then
jumping right to the main event. I don't, you know,
going
I
right to the main event, and then
don't.
we'll go into the crown jewel confrontation at the end, I
This
guess.
is like bamboo shoots in my fingernails that you're just jumping from beginning to end. It's fine.
Keeping you on your toes.
Hell of a main event. I love that this thing started at like 9:32,
Mhm.
and it was like, hey, you're getting 2 hours of Raw. You're now going to want that extra hour because you're missing out on how long and how great this match could have been. It felt like a main event match. It felt like a world title match. I thought Gunther was incredible.
Yeah, I agree.
The crowd in St. Louis, they bit. They bit on false finishes. They bit on big moments. That power bomb spot that people thought was going to be the end, and Sammy kicked out. There was that moment, and this is kudos to creative, because the week prior with Braun Breaker and Jey Uso, it was built on false finisher 2 weeks ago. So they were kind of conditioned that, oh, the dude kicks out of the big spot, we may see a new champion here. And then the sleeper and Sammy fingertips away. Kudos to the camera guys for getting that shot. And then he ultimately succumbs to the sleeper hold. Absolutely masterful. It goes to something Paul Heyman has said repeatedly, and I think Pritchard mentioned it a week or two ago on ad-free shows. When you are building up a heel, sacrifices must be made. They have
Yeah.
sacrificed Randy Orton to Gunther. They have sacrificed Sami Zayn to Gunther. Those are the right decisions. That is how you mint someone as a main event heel threat. Hell of a finish, hell of a showdown. Tip of cap at the end of what was a stellar 2 hours of Raw.
Let me add too that I really like the little aspect of Sammy and Gunther being on the outside and the 10 count being made and Gunther not being able to answer it. But Sammy could answer it, did the thing of like, hey, I got to break this count up and go back out, and does that and then brings Gunther back in eventually. But I thought that kind of added another layer like, oh, Sammy's pretty credible and a tough son of a bitch. And here he goes, bringing Gunther back. And so it created that element of like adding Sammy, having that viability and credibility to still compete with Gunther, I think, too. I thought that was a nice little addition to it all, too. So, but what I was getting at after that match happens, we see the confrontation between Cody Rhodes and Gunther for Crown Jewel. I'm kind of over this. Like, now this feels almost like WWE draft season, where a lot of this stuff does not. I'm not looking forward to storytelling elements going into Crown Jewel. They're going to have some work to do, I think, Robert, to make this feel something special. Like when it comes to Saudi Arabia and all this.
They also know Saudi Arabia is sort of somewhat of an out of continuity show. They have to, we talked about this yesterday. They have to trick the Saudi royal family into thinking that they are getting something truly spectacular when in fact they are getting very much a filler match. The story is going into Survivor Series. We know there are going to be at least 3 massive matches for Survivor Series. It continues to feel like we are going to get Bloodline versus Bloodline in War Games.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's a pretty well like carved in stone in some capacity. The Cody story with Kevin Owens is going to lead to babyface Cody, heel Kevin Owens for the Universal title, where you have about 7-8 weeks to tell that intense story. So that's going to be fun. Gunther's going to need a challenger, at which point CM Punk will have hopefully stopped having sex with his wife and may show up and say, "Hey, let me get an opportunity at you, Gunther." So you know you're going to be getting 3 big matches. You need a pay-per-view in between, and you don't want to give up any of the strong matches they may be doing. So Gunther and Cody is a fun one-off for this meaningless title. It's about pride, while both of these guys are focused elsewhere. I don't mind it, but then again, I don't love the Saudi shows. I used to just not watch them at all, and I'm kind of resigned to the fact of like, all right, I guess I just have to sit through these. If I'm going to use my, iPhone made by child labor, I guess I'm going to ignore the Saudi government and what it is that they do. Hold my nose and see it for you people, for the rumor and innuendoans, to make sure that I understand everything that's going on here. Joseph Wade Walters, by the way, can rot in the depths of hell for saying Goldberg and Gunther at Survivor Series. No.
I like that, Joseph.
What is most early weird prediction, spoiler, whatever, for Crown Jewel?
Uh-huh.
It would make the most sense for Kevin Owens to cost Cody Rhodes that match. And then while Gunther is holding up the comically large title, Goldberg spears him for a moment and we're done. The fact that Goldberg is over in Saudi Arabia is kind of like the end of Rocky IV, when the Russians start cheering for Rocky. You're like, we can make peace. The Saudis are cheering for a prominent Jewish athlete. Let that, even if it's Goldberg, let that happen. But yeah, that was the big takeaway there. And then the teasing of Cody and Seth Rollins. You can do Rollins and Bronson Reed in Saudi Arabia, and then you can have Rollins be the reason that that CM Punk does not beat Gunther. And that gives you a good couple months of programming after the fact. It felt like on this show, every segment was designed for longer term storytelling with an asterisk.
Yes. Talk about the Seth Rollins promo that we got right after Punk. They shoulder bumped. I hate to put that.
So, all right. So, yeah. So Seth cuts his promo while dressed like super duper fly Missy Elliott. And he reminds you, like, I'm going to retire you, Punk. And he's cutting his promo about Bronson Reed. Then he shoulder bumps Jey Uso to be like, hey, maybe I'll be challenging you for the Intercontinental title because I got nothing else to do. I got no place else to go. Jey Uso beating Xavier Woods furthered a couple great stories there. Number one, it advanced this jaded. It furthered the Braun Breaker piece, which is my asterisk of a week ago. We just turned that dude pure babyface. Now it's a course correct, which I approve of, but now he's back to being a heel again. I got a little bit of whiplash, and then Woods got a lot of whiplash when he took a spear, not because he was helping Braun Breaker, because he was checking on Kofi, who helped Jey Uso with Braun Breaker. So now you're getting a Kofi Kingston Braun Breaker match next week. reason to tune in. You're
Yep.
advancing the Xavier Woods storyline, reason to tune in. And you know Jey Uso is going to be going after Braun Breaker, another reason to tune in. That is the advantage of a 2-hour Raw. Guys, we got to make the most of every minute we have. We just advanced 3 storylines. Chef's kiss. Love it.
Yeah, we got to make the most of every minute we have as well, Robert. Is there anything else that you want to touch upon before we move on from Raw?
Love the Sheamus Pete Dunne Donnie Brook match. I thought the barrel spot with the white noise was great. The zip ties made for a fun visual. Like the sponsorship element that they attached there. Like that because they just didn't have a lot of time. It was like Liv, Raquel, and Dom showed up, and they're like, "Nah, we're gonna piece the hell out," and then just leave. I also love that they're ignoring the Cody Kevin Owens confrontation as something happened. We really can't talk about it right now. There's an air of mystery, Dom. There's a bigger air of mystery. So earlier today, peek behind the curtain, I recorded the Working Stiff Patreon with Scott Chaplin. He and I talked about Bad Blood. And during that show is when I found out there is no Dynamite tomorrow night.
That's correct. Yes.
This Title Tuesday show is Dynamite because the Yankee game is going to be on TBS. Let's go Yankees! So it's
You a Yankee fan?
I'm a of the folk. Yeah, I will always support the New York Yankees as much as I will not support the New York Mets. To my father's
I'm
chagrin.
a Yankees fan. I'm a Yankees fan too, Rob.
You wear so many hats. You got a St. Louis hat. You're supporting 30 teams.
I am.
Name a team you don't support, and that'll be a shorter time. We don't have that kind of time. But
Okay.
I had literally no idea that tonight's head-to-head AEW NXT is because there is no Dynamite tomorrow. Joseph Wade Walters throwing in a "Let's Go Royals." Here's why I'm going to hate the Kansas City Royals. Years ago, my dad actually tried out for the Royals and ultimately got cut. By then his knees were kind of rough, so he tried out, but he kind of knew he wasn't going to ultimately make the team. But that's neither hide nor hair. We got to talk NXT and Dynamite.
Yes, we do. NXT is tonight, guys. In St. Louis, Randy Orton, I believe, is taking on Javon Evans. Let me see what else matches we have lined up.
Femi taking on your cousin Tony D'Angelo.
My cousin Tony. He's going to bring the belt home for everybody. We're going to have.
Whoa! What? Look, your brother's not here. You don't have to use that kind of language. The belt.
the title home.
Damn, pal.
Damn. We have NXT Tag Team Championship. Fraxium, the champions, taking on A-Town Down Under. Wow. And then we have Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Kalani Jordan versus Fatal Influence Toxic Attraction 2.0. So, Robert, should be a fun show. Are you going to be tuning into this, or are you just doing hurricane prep?
No. I'll have had the hurricane prep done before 8 o'clock at night. You don't want to be outside.
That's a good point.
When it's pitch black, right before, gale force winds start blowing in. I always set the DVR to record NXT. I set the DVR to record the Dynamite. I watch Raw live, but I do have family and familial obligations, and there are things that we as a family will be watching and catching up on, while also clicking over to the Weather Channel where it's just people running around screaming, "Oh my God! Oh my God!"
Yes, yeah.
But I think NXT last week really showed you that they are concerned with putting on a strong show on the CW and introducing a new audience while making the current NXT fan base feel like they are being serviced. So the fact that you have Orton on there and he's working with a young talent makes a lot of sense. Utilizing Jade and Bianca in a 6-woman tag, totally get. A-Town Down Under, same thing. The Obafemi, I think, is really where that's where this guy's going to get a chance to shine with Tony D'Angelo on the CW. I think they're going to do a pretty good number because anyone that tuned in last week is going to say, hey, you know what? This is worth 2 hours of my time, even with Booker T.
Yeah, I think a big thing they got to keep focusing on is making sure that they highlight these newer stars and make them familiarize them with a new audience. And, I'd like to see that kind of move forward a little bit more when it comes to like, hey, video package presentations, almost kind of in certain ways what they did with NXT 2.0. I know that's much maligned, but they did do a good job was introducing new stars out. So I'd like to kind of see that kind of done with the Shawn Michaels touch upon it this time around. So, But otherwise, I'm excited to check it out. See my family bringing a title into the picture of the D'Angelo family, so that'd be nice.
There you
Um,
go. And then AEW. So before today, I knew that there was one match announced on Title Tuesday, which I thought was like all the titles are on the line. And instead, it's Claudio and Pac against Yuta and Brian Danielson. All four of those men have titles. None of those are
yes,
on the line.
that's interesting. Yeah. We have other so and there's a number one contenders match for the women's title at Wrestle
Okay.
Dream.
Who's who? So that's the other thing. Did not realize Wrestle Dream is actually this coming weekend.
Right. Mm-hmm. So we have that, and in preparation for it, we have a number one contendership match between Britt Baker and Willow Nightingale. Uh, this
Wait,
match,
wait.
yes, Mhm.
This is for which title?
This is the number one contenderships match. This is not a title.
The number one contendership for which title? The women's title or the
Women's
TBS?
title. The women's title. Yes.
So I did want to make sure I understand correctly here.
Are you getting a hold of all this, Robert?
I just want to make sure I grasp this.
Grasp it.
Britt Baker, who lost
Yes.
at all in,
Mhm.
challenging Mercedes Moné,
Yep.
is now getting an opportunity to be the number one contender. It's Willow Nightingale, who lost
Mhm.
at All Out. And they're going to be challenging to face Mariah May for her title. But I
Well, do you
no.
realize though that Britt Baker defeated Serena Deeb last week in Pittsburgh? Are you aware of that, Robert?
Oh, I'm aware. That is my match of the year. Can't prepare it now before we do our end of the year awards. It's going to be match of the decade. It's like that episode of Tough Enough where the one girl was like, "What's your favorite match ever?" And she was
Yeah.
like, "Melina versus Layla" or something like that. And
So,
you're like,
yeah.
"Oh, yeah,
What?
that makes total sense." You don't even have enough time to really properly build a story here. But whatever. Let's try not to think about anything that we are seeing at all times. It's just dynamite.
It is. Hey, Robert, guess what else we have on the card too?
I haven't the foggiest.
We have ABS, AEW TBS champion and New Japan Strong Women's champion Mercedes Moné taking on. My goodness, they brought this talent back. Big name, Emi Sakura going up against Mercedes Moné. I think she earned the right, Robert? Right?
But hold on, because I want to make sure. This is how bad this is. I need you to just quickly Google to make sure that the person I'm about to bury is the right person. Yeah, okay. It's this woman who I also thought was a heel. What?
Yeah, she's back and she has a title shot, Robert. I don't see what the big deal is, really. I mean, she's Freddie Mercury, too, at the same time.
That's all I remember. She was the I wanted to make sure she's the one that comes out with a microphone like she thinks she's Freddie Mercury. Dude, I got nothing.
I think she's going to win tonight.
I'm sure they announced this on a graphic on Collision or a Rampage lower third or something like that.
I think they put it on Emi Sakura to announce it because I saw on social media saying, can't wait to fight Mercedes Moné tonight.
I don't understand what they are doing with their women's division. I genuinely don't. My favorite thing about Mercedes Moné right now, since we are part of the Ad Free Shows Network, Jim Ross has a podcast, Grill and JR.
Hey.
It is occasionally listenable for about 15, 20 minutes here or there before all you do is hear Hello Darkness, my old friend. But he was talking about the Arthur Ashe show, Grand Slam, and he was, Mercedes is on there. I got to be honest, since she's been back, I don't feel connected to it. I don't think he remembers he's A, being recorded, or B, the lead announcer for this brand. They spent a gajillion dollars on Mercedes Moné, and then Jim Ross said the quiet part loud and the loud part quiet. It's like, don't say what we've all been saying, which is Mercedes has not really connected at all since she's been back. But you know what's going to fix that, Dom? Her facing Emi Sakura.
100%.
Yes. Her facing not Hikaru Shida, not Riho, not Yumi Sakajuya.
I like her. She's really good.
Of course you do.
Yuka, I don't know her name.
Is that everything they've announced? Are we done? Can we?
No, Robert, we got a little bit more here.
Sweet Jesus.
Sink your teeth into this one. Hook demands answers regarding the attack on Taz.
So we don't know who attacked Taz, right?
No, don't know.
Can't wait until they reveal that it was, Mr. Ass.
It was Christian Cage, probably. He kind of immediately hinted at it after Hook cut that promo last week because he was like, hook, line, and sinker. And obviously, Christian Cage wants to be the father to everyone. Hey, now
can't
we
wait
do
to see
have...
Christian and Taz reignite their Sunday Night Heat feud.
Were you also aware, Robert, that Darby Allin, he issued a challenge last week for somebody, open challenge for wrestlers?
He did, and I've seen some speculation of who people think that might be.
Oh,
but...
you don't got to speculate. It's Brody King.
Pardon?
And now they're going to meet face to face.
Wait. Rewind.
Uh-huh.
Darby issued an open challenge.
Yes, correct.
Brody King has already answered the open challenge?
Yes. Yes, he has.
For Wrestle Dream?
Yes. The graphic's already made, Robert.
But
so
this, by the way, not a bit. Totally unaware of any of this stuff. Yeah. I knew there was one match. I'm genuinely trying to process. I'm like, here's how well laid out Raw was. Hey, this NXT thing makes sense. Hey, Brody King is challenging Darby.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe it's because they're both MLW originals.
Oh, that could be
and,
it.
You have seen them both fight for upwards of $50 live from, the Guilt nightclub in Orlando. So maybe now is a chance to see that. I love Brody King.
I do too.
One of my favorite moments possibly ever with Brody King. He was facing MJF for reasons that made no sense because they were both heels. And when I point this out, I'm told I'm difficult to work with and uncooperative. But we're filming this in this where we're doing our pre-tapes at this wrestling school, and Jamie Iovine, wrestler and son of Jimmy Iovine, is our backstage interviewer, and he's talking to Mr. MJF about Brody King, and Brody shows up and grabs Max and slams his head against the wall, putting him through the drywall. He missed a stud barely. The look of terror on Jamie Iovine's face, it was like his profile picture for a while, is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So Brody cuts this like sinister, evil, like I'm going to murder you promo. And as soon as I yell cut, he starts apologizing profusely for destroying this building. And the way that we fixed it was we covered it with a poster and never told anybody.
That's fantastic. That's pro wrestling right there.
There's a reason for this match to happen, but there's not. And for some reason, the folks at Click This have just chimed in with, "Hey, yo,
survey time."
Are we taking up their space? Are they supposed to be in here right now, and we're getting evicted?
Oh no, we're fine.
But you do the social media for Click This, or are you secretly shadow running this message?
No, not at all. I would never do that, Robert. I am legit as they come. I do not put on any airs, Robert.
No, you put on no airs, but you put a lot of shows on the air.
I do. Hey, that's correct. It's hey, one of a kind with RVD. Just dropped yesterday at 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on rvdtv.com and also on all your damn podcast choice options that you have. So the Spotify, Apple, give us 5 stars, like a 5-star frog splash. We get a surprise phone call from Marty Jannetty. We talk about the Hurt Syndicate coming into AEW and how they can help change the dynamic.
I feel like every phone call Marty Jannetty makes is a surprise to him. Like in between the ringing in when someone answers, he forgets who he's calling.
That sounds about right, I would say.
You get thrown through a barbershop window every now and again. Your brain's going to be a little janky.
Discombobulated. Oh, Robert, I did want something to share with you before we go. This is breaking news, actually, too, Robert. So.
Great.
Yeah, are you ready for this?
I guess.
I know you will be, because look at this baby. Boom! Look at that. I know you're going to scoop one of those belts up. Belts, I said it.
Done. Out. F off. Done.
All right. So, hey, you can follow us on at Free Show's YouTube channel on the Working Stiff YouTube channel, on Rumor and Innuendo YouTube channel, and W Creative _ish Twitter X account. Same goes for the SE Scoops X account. If you have any other feedback, hit us up in the chat. Give us a like. Spread the word about Rumor and Innuendo, and check out Working Stiff with Robert this week. The Patreon is going to drop later today, so you can get on there early, sign up, and tune into the Patreon where Robert and Scott discuss all the matters that you want to hear behind the scenes. All right. Hey, this is Dominic D'Angelo. I want to wish you all best of luck in your future endeavors, and Tino Martinez for life. Go Yankees.